Number 10 says the properties of addition. We have 4 properties of addition. The first one is our commutative property. See that dumb thing blinking up there? We'll see if it works. Commutative property says I'm going to change the order. So my commutative property, if I have... Nope. If I have x plus y, my commutative property says I'm just going to change the order of those. So I'm just going to switch it around and make it y plus x. That's all my commutative property does, switch the order. The associative property. The associative property has to do with grouping symbols. An association is a group. The associative property says that I have to have the same order, but I move my parentheses. Well, if I'm going to move my parentheses, I have to have more than 2 things. So usually they show it with 3 things. They'll have an example like this. If x plus y plus z equals x plus y plus z, on my associative property, one side will have the parentheses around the first 2. On the other side, it's going to have the parentheses around the other 2. So all I did was move the parentheses. I didn't change anything else in my expression. My additive identity property. On the additive identity property, what you start with is what you want to end with. So if I have the number 3, I'm going to add something to 3 to still end up with 3. So what I would add would be adding 0. If I add 0 to any number, I get the exact same number back. So my additive identity property says if I take x plus 0, I'm still going to end up with x. Didn't change the value of my number. And the last property is the additive inverse. Additive inverse, inverse means opposite. If I add opposites, I'm going to end up with an answer of 0. So their example is going to say something like x plus negative x ends up being 0. A 3 plus a negative 3 would end up being 0. So I'm just picking out which one of those properties they're showing. Here I have a negative b plus b equals 0. I'm adding opposites. That's my additive inverse, number 4. This one says 7 equals 0 plus 7. I added 0, which didn't change the value of my 7. That's my additive identity property. The next one says 9 plus 8 plus a equals 9 plus 8 plus a. Notice everything's the same except where the parentheses are. Here the parentheses are around the first 2. Here the parentheses are around the second 2. That's my associative property of addition. So number 2. So on number 11, I have 8 plus a plus 3 equals 8 plus a plus 3. Again, the only thing different about each side is where the parentheses are at. That's going to be my associative property number 2. This one, that looks pretty close to our example up there. 0 equals x plus negative x. I'm adding opposites to get an answer of 0. That's my additive inverse, number 4. Here, 9 plus b equals b plus 9. I've switched the order of my 2 expressions. That's my commutative property, number 1. I know that when I move the board now that it's going to mess things up, so I'm just going to go here and try to straighten it out before I go. Next one here, picking out my properties yet? Negative a plus a equals 0. Those are opposites. That's my additive inverse property, number 4. 7 equals 0 plus 7. We already had that one. We added 0 to 7. That's my additive identity, 3. And then we have 5 plus 6 equals 6 plus 5. I've switched the order of my 2 values. That's my commutative property.